I am a big believer that we can grow together and that conversations are the start of positive change. My name is Fiona Mehmet and I'm the founder of Noblesse, a sustainable fashion brand to help you do the right thing, stand in your greatness, build a wardrobe that is true to you along with a lifestyle. Conversations for Change podcast is here to bring you weekly episodes with experts in sustainable fashion, leadership, and advocates for world change. Each episode is thought-provoking, it's life-changing, and it's a structured way to give you 3 key tips on each episode to build a sustainable life without shame, without overwhelm, and without judgment. The topic for this season is how do we change our buying behaviors for a more sustainable future? I am really excited to share this with you. It's been a long time in the making. Please follow, like, and share each episode so we can continue to build a better, more sustainable future for ourselves and for our children's children. Nicola has a 26-year career as a costume designer and stylist and has worked across all areas of the industry, from styling runway shows, photo shoots, and celebrities to designing award-winning feature films, TV shows, and over 200 commercials. So that's a lot. During this time, she has worked with some world-renowned names such as Sean Penn, Kevin Bacon, Rachel Griffiths, and Heath Ledger. Her passion for making a difference inspired her to start her own personal styling business with a sustainable focus. And she gives a percentage of her fee to her clients' charity of choice, which I really love. So welcome, Nicola. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is my first podcast, so I'm excited.
Oh, wow, exciting. It's taking the podcast virginity here. And I know we've had some amazing discussions, so I wanted to get one live here so you can provide everyone with all the golden nuggets that you've learned over your long career and help us be more sustainable in our lives. And we really had some great discussions about how we can help people get from where we are to their desired outcomes, especially for our wardrobes, and with keeping people and planet at the forefront of everything that we do. You do have your own specific approach that I'm really excited to talk about today, and it's newly developed. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Sure, I'd love to. Look, to be honest, this approach, I wouldn't necessarily say it's newly developed, because I've been using this with both myself and my clients for a while, but I guess I've just recently put a name to it, and I've called it the Triple R approach. And the 3 R's stand for reinvent, repurpose, and research. And for me, if you really want to make a difference, you can adopt all of these practices into your life and the way you shop. But if it's too much to do in one go, even if you just, adopt one of them, that's still a win for the environment and for you.
Brilliant. So the first one's reinvent, second is repurpose, and the third is research. Can we start with reinvent? Let's delve deeper into that one. How do we live that first one?
Okay, so this is probably the most sustainable approach you can try, and it means to basically take your existing wardrobe and explore new ways that you can reinvent it. And I know it's for some people, they can be resistant to this idea because they don't necessarily consider themselves to be style gurus, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming to try and mix and match in new and creative ways on their own. So for those people specifically, at the fear of sounding a little biased, I would highly recommend getting some help from an image consultant or a personal stylist. And sometimes it just takes a fresh set of eyes to put a new spin on things that you might not have considered before. And I personally think it's money well spent, because even though it will cost you money up front, it can end up saving you a lot of money and time in the long run. And, I believe there's a bit of a misconception that just because something is fashionable or beautiful and expensive, that it must be right. But for a lot of people, this is the reason they buy into fast fashion trends, or even invest a lot of money into designer labels, which I don't think they need to. And the reality is that despite something being on trend or even of beautiful quality, an item of clothing or a whole outfit can be completely out of alignment with the person. And that could mean whether it's the wrong style for their particular body shape, or the color doesn't complement their complexion, or it's just simply unsuitable for their particular lifestyle. And for one or all of those reasons, they will tend to always choose something else to wear. And it's either that, or they'll wear it because they've spent all this money on it, but it just doesn't necessarily bring out the best in them. And what a personal stylist will do is really kind of help streamline that whole process of building your perfect wardrobe, because not only will they help you eliminate the pieces that don't work and help you reinvent the pieces that do, they'll also inform you on how to make better buying choices moving forward, and which is ultimately a win for both their wallet and the planet. And look, it really depends on what your budget is and how much value you place on sustainability and your appearance, and of course your time. And having said this, you might care about all of these things deeply, but you just simply can't afford to pay a professional to help you, and which I totally get. And
that was going to be my next question. If someone can't afford a stylist or an image consultant, how do they start learning about what suits them? How do they experiment in a productive way that they get to learn about what their style is, what suits their shape, what suits their body, what colors complement their skin tone? I know obviously you have a website full of amazing content too. Is that something that people can start with?
Oh, look, I mean, I do have I did like a PowerPoint presentation on different ways that you can learn how to improve your choices and all of that stuff. But when it comes down to kind of knowing what suits you personally, it's always going to be about experimentation, but also just really tapping into how clothing makes you feel. And I think that's really the strongest barometer that you can use when you put on something. How does it fit? Can it breathe? Is it putting an extra bounce in your step when you put it on? Do you feel like a badass when you wear it, or is it making you uncomfortable? And you automatically know when you put clothing on how it sort of affects the way you interact in the world. So that's a really
for finding the right fit, because it really does affect the way you feel. And especially when you buy something and it needs that 2 inches on the waist or something like that, it's just going to sit on the hanger until you take it to a someone that can sew it for you, or when you make for it, and a tailor. So I'm a big advocate for finding the right fit for you, and looking at size guides and measuring yourself and getting to know how your body shapes is really important too.
Oh, definitely. And a lot of garments can look great on a model, or even hanging on the rack, but when you put it on, it's not necessarily designed to fit all your curves, or everyone's body shape is so completely different. So that's another great way to do it. What you said is actually buy something and then have it tailored to fit you. Exactly. So and that applies to men as well with suits. It makes a huge difference to have something tailored to their body. So yeah, there's that. And then just in terms of like finding inspiration to reinvent pieces that you already have. There's lots of great free resources out there that you can tap into. Like, there's amazing stylists and influencers on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, and there's platforms like Pinterest that give you a lot of inspiration. And these stylists will be doing all these really cool reels that show you sort of fun styling hacks and interesting ways. Yeah, and look, even as something as simple as a black dress or a black blazer, there's, even you can Google different ways to wear a black dress, and a huge array of options will come up. And I think it's just finding things that resonate with you, and maybe saving them in a folder and returning back to them when you need a little bit of inspo. And there's lots of ways that you can get creative on your own without having to spend money. And that's the beauty about social media these days. It's just so much out there that you can tap into. So,
do you find asking friends as well? Because sometimes friends see things that you don't see about yourself. And they'll also, sometimes you buy things because your friend's like, oh, you never wear red, try red. And they make you too.
Yeah, and that's, it's the same as what I was saying with a stylist. They're, a fresh set of eyes can often just kind of open your eyes to a whole different perspective that you may not have otherwise seen. So yeah, tap into your friends and help each other.
Yeah, amazing. So the next one would be repurpose, the second R.
Yes.
And that's a popular topic, but it's hard to understand if it's not something you normally do.
Yeah, look, I believe that, besides reinventing your own clothes, repurposing somebody else's is another really amazing way to take a sustainable approach. And even though there's been a little bit of stigma around buying pre-owned clothing in the past, I think that's changing with the world's movement towards sustainability and making more conscious choices. And, for me personally, I think that it's far more inspiring and admirable when someone can take a vintage or pre-owned piece and put their own spin on it, rather than just kind of conforming to trends and buying something new off the rack. And I think just in general, like my approach towards styling and sustainability as well is it's about kind of establishing your own really unique sense of style that's authentic to you, rather than trying to follow what everyone else is doing. And although this will ultimately evolve and up level with time, just as you will as a person, the turnover won't be quite as fast as if you were buying into fast fashion trends. And
would you find the hiring trend at the moment, is that would that be categorized as repurposing?
Yeah, it could be, totally. And that's actually a really fantastic way to be sustainable, especially with events and things like that, rather than going and spending. It's an economical way to do things too. I was actually just talking about this the other day, that you can you can basically rent a designer piece for an event, you know, and you can get a much better piece that you can rent than if you could afford to maybe go out and buy it. Plus, you know, it's just going back into the system and other people are enjoying it. And I think that's a really great way to be sustainable.
I did it and with my engagement party. I rented an outfit, and I was trying to think of the most sustainable way to find an outfit, because what I was going to do was reinvent or upcycle an outfit a customer had given to me from the 90s, and it was this red velvet dress, and I was like, this is amazing, I love this fabric. And when she said, you want it, I was like, immediately, yes, I will use it somehow. And I didn't have enough time to redesign it and upcycle it. So I needed the quickest, most sustainable option that made me feel amazing, that had the right fit. So hiring was the way that I chose to express one of my sustainable values. But it is also a process too, if you're not used to it, and you don't know where to find hiring brands. How would people approach that? I suppose that research side of things.
Oh, look, I mean, it's really as simple as just Googling
rent
a dress or something. I mean, if you do that, there, you know, stacks of options come up. And I've actually done this for jobs. I did it actually for a commercial when we were shooting in COVID lockdown because none of the shops were open, and the only way I could get, you know, and I needed to have some pretty glamorous frocks for this particular spot, and the only way I could do it was with one of these rental places, and it actually worked out really well. So I would definitely encourage that. You know, for some people, you know, they love to go thrifting, and you know, that's it depends on what you're looking for, really. If you're looking for pieces that you can keep in your wardrobe and just keep re-wearing, or if you know, the rental's great if you just need a one-off. But thrifting is a great way to, and when I say thrifting, it doesn't, you know, doesn't just need to be from an op shop. You know, there's different ways you can do this. There's
the suitcase rummage. There's have you heard of that, suitcase rummage?
Suitcase rummage? I haven't heard of that one, no.
Yeah, where people bring all their secondhand clothing, and you can kind of bring it in a suitcase, literally. And you filter through what you like, what you don't like. Some people set up racks and set them up like mini market stalls.
Oh wow, that's cool. I love that.
Yeah,
so I mean, there's things like that. There's a conventional way of going to places like Vinnie's or the Red Cross, or to markets, or you know, there's also stores that specialize in reselling luxury sort of designer labels. You know, there's online marketplaces, like ThredUp and Poshmark and Facebook marketplaces, and then there's more off-market ones like the Real, Curate and Rotate and Recurate. That was a tongue twister. And then there's also the option of like the resale section in certain brands, and I'm finding that sustainable brands are doing this more and more, where you know, there's a section where you can buy pieces that have been softly kind of pre-worn, and you know, that, you know, it's also an opportunity for you to sell your stuff there, and all prevents it from ending up in landfill. And you might have worn it a couple of times, but you've decided that it's not for you, but it's still in great quality, you know, in great condition, and somebody else might want to wear it. And I do love the idea of clothing kind of experiencing a rebirth. And you know, I had this amazing pair of bright emerald green disco pants, a bit like Olivia Newton-John's black disco pants at the end of Crease, that I absolutely loved and felt like a complete rock star when I wore them. And as I kind of grew up and my style evolved, and I didn't really want to wear them anymore, I still kind of resisted giving them up because they were so sentimental to me and they reminded me of this beautiful sort of fun era in my life. But one day I just kind of woke up and thought, it's time for someone else to enjoy these, rather than just sitting on my shelf gathering dust. And I often think, I hope somebody else is enjoying these as much as I did. And that thought actually brings me far more joy than watching them deteriorate in my closet. So I think there's absolutely no shame in creating a new story with somebody else's clothes, and I try to look at it as a form of reincarnation.
Yeah. And you get that emotional attachment back to clothing as well. It has a story, it has a life, it has an energy. And that's, how we used to engage with clothing. So it kind of brings that back into play.
Yeah, totally. And everyone's going to bring something new to the table, and everyone's going to wear things in a different way and just give it a whole new personality. So I love the idea of the story being recreated by new people.
Me too. So tell me about the third approach, which is research.
Okay, so I guess it's fairly obvious, but this is something that I always try to encourage with my clients, and because sometimes you do want to buy new pieces, you don't necessarily want to wear secondhand stuff, and that's okay. But when you do, I just encourage people to do a little bit of research and look into the brands that they're buying from, and kind of see what accreditations the company has around sustainability, where things are manufactured, whether they're fair trade or not, what the materials consist of, like try and buy things that are more natural fibers rather than obviously polyesters and things that are going to pollute the planet. Some brands are offering a give back policy, which is a bit like what I do with my clients, and that goes back to environmental causes or humanitarian causes, which is great. And I also suggest that people reconsider impulse buying, which is something that I've really tried to do myself. And it's hard when you're constantly being inundated with all these beautiful, pretty, shiny things coming into your Instagram feed, and it can be very tempting.
That's why I can't go into shops either. I can't do it. I'm surrounded by so much commercialism. It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, I can't spend that much time there. I'm a mission shop. I have to go in and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit the same because I do it for work too. So I'm like,
yeah, where you're looking for, yeah, and where to find it.
Yeah, but I do find if you just give yourself, sleep on it for a night or two and really think about whether you absolutely have to have it. And if you're still thinking about it and you're obsessing about it and just have to buy it, then that's okay. But often I find more times than not, once you revisit in a couple of days, you kind of like it's lost its initial shine, and you find that you can actually live without it. So also I guess focus on quality rather than quantity, and I know that not everyone can afford to buy expensive clothes, and sustainable brands often come at a more premium price. But I would encourage, rather than buying 3 cheap pieces from somewhere like H&M or Zara, save up and just invest in one quality piece that's going to transcend time and trends. And that you can wear for years to come, and there's lots of sustainable brands on the market that actually don't cost an arm and a leg these days. And I think the more that we support these brands, the more that they're going to flourish. And it comes down to supply and demand. And if we're supporting them, then eventually they're going to become more accessible to the average consumer, because there's more people buying from them and less people buying from these big fast fashion brands.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in total alignment with your last statement there, being a sustainable fashion brand. So
Yes.
it resonates very true for me. I do talk a lot about quality and buying that one piece instead of the three pieces. So, and saving for it too, because you feel like you've accomplished something. Even that $20 a week towards, that $200 pair of jeans that you've been eyeing up for the past 6 months, is you've actually worked for that outfit. It has a story, and now it's emotionally connected to you, and you'll keep it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes back to what we were saying earlier, like quality pieces are part of sort of that whole thing of feeling good, and I know that I feel different in a beautiful, well-made, sustainable garment that has been ethically made and is made with good quality fabrics and all of that stuff, than if I was putting on some cheap thing that I just impulsively bought from H&M, and it's it doesn't breathe and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's all connected, and the message is the same, really. Buy quality, buy less, and everyone's a winner.
Yes, definitely. I agree. And at the moment, you're actually on your own, a different sustainability journey with your new business venture. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, we are. My business partner, I are in the sort of middle development stages of launching a sustainable brand, which is sort of a fashion and a lifestyle brand, which is sort of focused on beach lifestyle, I guess. So that including sort of beach bags, umbrellas, towels, certain things that just kind of add value to your beach experience. But it's premium products that are going to be sustainably made and ethically made. And also we're doing caftans, which is a real passion of mine, because I love caftans because they basically transcend all kind of body shapes and sizes and age groups, and they're timeless. And I personally love wearing them in summer because they protect you from the sun, but they're cool and comfortable, and they also look fabulous. And the prints that we're doing are quite different to what's been done before, so I'm pretty excited about it all. So yeah, we're hoping to launch.
I'm really excited to see it come to life, because having a sustainable fashion brand, I know the work that goes into it. So I'm really excited to see it come to fruition and see if we can support in any way. So where can we find you to support your new brand? And if we need any personal styling services or information, how do we find you?
Okay, well, in terms of the brand, it's called Nicola Dunn, which is my name, obviously, and the C in French. And that will be on Instagram under Nicola Dunn. So it's LAMR. And
I'll add
Nicola's
to the comments below. Yeah, perfect.
And then and we will also have a website, and we can include those in the show notes. In terms of my personal styling services, you can contact me through my website, which is nicoladunn.com.
Really?
And also I can, include my email if people want to contact me directly, and my phone number, even if they want to have a have a phone consultation or whatever. That's fine.
Thank you so much, Nicola. It's been a pleasure having you on. And we could deep dive on so many different topics in sustainability. So hopefully there'll be a part 2. Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona. It was awesome. I love being here.